The courtroom doors slammed shut and the world collectively held its breath. This wasn't just another celebrity trial. This wasn't a scandal you could scroll past. This was the trial that froze the culture, the one that blurred the line between hip-hop royalty and criminal empire. Jim Jones, the Harlem legend, sat in the defendant's chair. His empire, his reputation, his very freedom dangling by a thread. The air was thick, cameras flashing, fans screaming outside like it was the Super Bowl of scandals. But then came the twist no one on earth could have predicted. Out of nowhere, Camron, the man who built Dipset shoulder to shoulder with Jim, stood up and detonated a bomb that would rock the industry to its core. Ask Chrissy about the money. Ask her about the meetings. The words fell like grenades. The courtroom erupted. Gasps, shouts, even the judge struggled to restore order. Everyone thought this trial was about Jim, his deals, his alleged connections, his loyalty questioned. But Cam flipped the script. In one single devastating moment, the spotlight swung to Chrissy Lampkin. Jim's ride or die, the woman fans saw as the definition of loyalty. And what Cam revealed, a secret so devastating, so toxic. It shattered the love story the world thought was unshakable. Leaked whispers spread instantly. Hidden financial dealings. Ties to shadowy figures. A betrayal so personal it made people wonder if Chrissy had been the architect of Jim's downfall all along. Social media detonated. Hashtags flying. Hashtag Chrissy exposed. Hashtag Cam said it. Hashtag DIPSET drama. Fans begged for answers. What was Chrissy hiding? Why would Cam choose this moment to reveal it? And most importantly, was Jim Jones about to discover that the greatest enemy was never on the streets, but sleeping in his own bed? The internet melted down, and this was only the beginning. The moment Camron stood up in that courtroom, the air changed. What had been a tense but expected trial for Jim Jones suddenly spiraled into the kind of chaos you only see when decades of loyalty, betrayal, and hidden agendas collide in full view of the world. Everyone thought this was about Jim. The charges, the allegations, the whispered talk of racketeering and money trails that could dismantle Dipset's legacy. But Cam wasn't about to let the spotlight stay fixed on Jim's shoulders alone. No, he came to drop the kind of bombshell that would leave scars on everyone in the room, especially Chrissy Lampkin. With cameras flashing, journalists scribbling, and fans live tweeting every move. Cam leaned into the mic and dropped a line that cracked the story wide open. Ask Chrissy where the money went. Ask her about the nights she spent with people Jim don't even know. Gasps erupted. The courtroom buzzed like an electric fence. Jim froze, eyes darting toward Chrissy, who sat tight-lipped, her hand gripping the edge of her chair. And just like that, Jim's trial became Chrissy's trial too. The blogs exploded instantly. Within minutes, hashtags flooded the timeline. Hashtag Chrissy exposed, hashtag Cam in court, hashtag DIPSET betrayal. The world wasn't asking about Jim's charges anymore. They were asking what secret Chrissy had been hiding and why Cam chose this moment to tear the curtain back. Insiders claimed Cam had been holding onto this tea for years, waiting for the right time to strike. Some called it revenge for old Dipset beef. Others whispered it was Cam's way of saving Jim from himself. Whatever the motive, the receipts were brutal. The first leak came from an anonymous account on Twitter. Screenshots of alleged wire transfers in Chrissy's name tied to offshore accounts. The captions screamed betrayal. She wasn't just spending on clothes. She was funding the enemy. Whether real or fake, the screenshots spread like wildfire. Fans dissected every line, every date, every dollar sign. Convinced Chrissy had been playing a double game. By nightfall, Shade Room had posted a grainy video, Chrissy in a midtown hotel lobby, laughing with a man infamous for ties to underground syndicates. No sound, no context, but enough to send the internet spiraling. She was too comfortable, one user wrote. That's not business. That's betrayal. The clip had 3 million views in under an hour. Inside the courtroom, the drama was even worse. An insider leaked that Jim whispered to his lawyer, "Tell me Cam lying. Please tell me he lying." Those 7 words, caught by a hot mic, trended instantly on TikTok, with fans overlaying the audio on everything from crying memes to Dipset classics. The heartbreak was real and the humiliation public. But Cam wasn't finished. He allegedly pulled out a folder during testimony, hinting at emails, contracts, and even a recorded phone call that would prove Chrissy's secret dealings. The judge shut him down before he could submit it for now. But the tease alone was enough to keep fans foaming at the mouth. What was in those files? Who was Chrissy really working with? And was Jim nothing more than a pawn in her game? Celebrities didn't hold back. 50 Cent, never one to miss an opportunity, posted a photo of Jim with the caption, "Told you years ago." Boy, should have listened. Cardi B went live, telling fans, "I don't know what's true, but those receipts don't look good. I feel bad for Jim, man." Even Fat Joe, known to keep the peace, admitted, "This is bigger than rap. This is family falling apart on the biggest stage." Meanwhile, social media ripped Chrissy to shreds. Old clips from Love and Hip Hop resurfaced. Chrissy telling Jim, "If you ever cross me, I'll burn it all down." Fans replayed it like prophecy. Memes of Chrissy photoshopped as a puppet master controlling Jim trended under #PuppetChrissy. The streets were divided. Was Chrissy guilty of betrayal, or was Cam playing dirty to settle old beef? Then came the most chilling leak of all. A voicemail allegedly from Chrissy to an unidentified contact. The muffled audio was barely audible, but one line was clear. He'll never see it coming. Theories flew. Was she talking about Jim? About Cam? About the trial itself? Blogs dissected the clip frame by frame. Experts analyzing the voice, fans refusing to believe it was real. But the timing was devastating as chaos boiled outside. The judge received a sealed envelope slipped onto his bench by an investigator. The court froze. No one knew what was inside, but whispers filled the room. More wire transfers. Hidden contracts, or maybe the recordings Cam hinted at. Chrissy's face turned pale, her composure cracking. Jim wouldn't even look at her. The world watched, desperate to know what was in that envelope. By evening, the internet was in flames. Fans filmed themselves burning Dipset merch. Others crying into the camera about the end of hip-hop's most iconic love story. On Instagram, thousands begged Rashida from Love and Hip Hop to weigh in, while others tagged Kimbella, asking if she knew all along. Twitter wars broke out, Chrissy's defenders clashing with Dipset loyalists. Every hour, a new receipt surfaced. Some real, some fake. All fueling the fire. The trial that was supposed to decide Jim's fate had mutated into something far darker. This wasn't just about charges anymore. It was about betrayal at the highest level. Secrets buried for decades, and a love story unraveling in real time. Cam had opened Pandora's box. And the industry would never be the same. The day ended on a cliffhanger that had fans clutching their phones, refreshing feeds, waiting for the next leak. Would that sealed envelope be opened in court tomorrow? Would Cam release the recordings himself? Or would Chrissy finally break her silence and defend herself? For now, one thing was clear. Jim Jones wasn't just fighting for his freedom. He was fighting to survive the biggest betrayal of his life. And Chrissy Lampkin's secret, whatever it was, had just become the world's obsession. The second day of the trial didn't just begin, it detonated. Reporters camped outside the courthouse. Fans lined the sidewalks screaming Jim's name, and hashtags were already trending before the judge even entered the room. Hashtag Chrissy exposed, hashtag DIPSET trial, hashtag Cam dropped bombs. Social media had transformed the trial into a global spectacle. But nothing could have prepared anyone for what happened when the judge finally broke the seal on that mysterious envelope Camron introduced the day before. Inside, documents, pages of them, wire transfers, property deeds, and what appeared to be detailed ledger mapping transactions that tied Chrissy Lampkin to a network of shadowy figures stretching from Harlem to Miami. The courtroom audibly gasped as prosecutors confirmed the documents would be entered as evidence. And in that moment, Chrissy's carefully constructed image as Jim's loyal partner shattered. The receipts were damning. One transfer showed $250,000, funneled into a shell company connected to a known rival of Jim's, another listed meetings, at luxury hotels where Chrissy's name appeared alongside, aliases tied to offshore accounts. It wasn't just money, it was betrayal in black and white. And as the documents circulated online within minutes, fans screamed. She was funding the opposition. Chrissy sat stiff, her eyes darting, lips trembling, but she didn't speak. Jim, meanwhile, buried his face in his hands. The cameras caught every second. Within an hour, the clips went viral. Memes labeled Chrissy the Judas of Dipset, while fan pages spliced together footage of her love and hip-hop loyalty speeches with screenshots of the transfers. The irony was too much for the internet to resist, but the documents weren't the only bombshell in the envelope. Attached was a USB drive, and when prosecutors played it in court, the room went silent. A recording crackled through the speakers. Chrissy's voice, clear, calm, saying words that sliced through. Jim, like a blade. Sometimes you have to play both sides to make sure you win. He'll never know. Gasps, screams, whispers. The courtroom erupted. Jim shot upright, staring at Chrissy in disbelief. Cam leaned back in his seat, smirking, as if he had just detonated the final charge in a war years in the making. Within minutes, the audio was leaked online. Fans replayed it endlessly, dissecting every syllable. Some swore it was edited, others insisted it was authentic. But perception is everything. And perception said Chrissy had admitted to betraying Jim. Twitter went insane. Hashtag both sides Chrissy, stranded at #1 worldwide. The fallout was immediate. Industry insiders whispered that record labels were pulling strings behind the scenes, distancing themselves from the scandal. One anonymous executive told gossip blogs, "Nobody wants to stand next to Jim or Chrissy right now. It's radioactive." Sponsors who had partnered with Jim for years quietly suspended deals. Dipset's brand, once untouchable, was now hanging by a thread. Meanwhile, celebrities fanned the flames. Cardi B tweeted, "This why loyalty is rare. Don't let nobody play you." Nicki Minaj posted a cryptic message. "Sometimes the knife ain't in your back, it's in your bed." 50 Cent, ever the instigator, shared a meme of Chrissy photoshopped as a Trojan horse with Jim inside. Captioned, "Harlem legend fell for the setup." Fans were in meltdown. Longtime supporters of Jim wept on Instagram Live, begging him to leave her before it's too late. Others accused Cam of fabricating evidence to destroy Jim's empire out of jealousy. The divide grew deeper by the hour, with hashtag Team Chrissy and hashtag Team Jim clashing in brutal Twitter wars. But the biggest explosion came not from fans, but from Jim himself. During a recess, cameras caught him storming out of the courthouse, visibly shaking, before cornering Camron in the hallway. The footage captured by a bystander's phone showed Jim shouting, "You trying to bury me, Cam? You trying to bury my family?" Cam coolly responded, "I told you years ago she wasn't real. You didn't listen." Now the truth is here. The clip hit the internet before court resumed, instantly going viral. Fans screamed that Dipset had finally imploded. Back inside, Chrissy finally broke. As prosecutors pressed her about the ledger and recordings, she burst into tears, clutching her face, sobbing into her hands. The image of Chrissy Lampkin, always composed and fiery on reality TV, reduced to tears in court, sent shockwaves across the internet. But sympathy was fleeting. Memes mocked her, dubbing the moment the cry of betrayal. Then came another leak. This time, a set of text messages allegedly between Chrissy and an unidentified number. The texts hinted at an agreement. "Keep him distracted, and we'll take care of the rest." Fans dissected every word, speculating that Chrissy had been working with Jim's enemies to undermine him financially and legally. The idea that Chrissy could have been an inside agent all along left supporters reeling. As the texts went viral, BET and VH1 rushed to capitalize. Old clips of Jim and Chrissy's love story resurfaced across streaming platforms, each one now framed as tragic foreshadowing. Reality TV fans created entire TikTok series re-editing Chrissy's iconic proposal seen as if it were the setup to her betrayal. But the darkest moment of the day came when prosecutors hinted at the possibility of a witness. Someone close to the couple ready to testify about Chrissy's double life. The courtroom froze. Names swirled online. Friends, family, even fellow cast members from Love and Hip Hop. Fans speculated wildly. Would Kimbella take the stand? Yandy, even Papooses' name floated through the rumor mill. Nobody knew, but the threat of a witness added a chilling layer as the session ended. The judge made one final announcement. Additional sealed evidence would be introduced tomorrow, including correspondence directly linking Chrissy to key figures in the case. The words echoed like a death sentence. Chrissy sobbed into Jim's shoulder, but he didn't hug her back. He sat motionless, eyes fixed forward, as if already mourning the end of everything. Outside, the chaos was uncontrollable. Fans screamed, protesters held signs reading "Free Jim and Chrissy lead," while helicopters buzzed overhead. Bloggers camped outside hotels. Every diner, barbershop, and corner store in Harlem buzzed with debate. Was Chrissy guilty? Was Cam a hero or a traitor? Could Jim survive this nuclear fallout? That night, the internet hit peak frenzy. Anonymous accounts dropped insider leaks, suggesting Chrissy wasn't acting alone, that someone even closer to Jim had been in on it. Threads speculated about a conspiracy stretching beyond Dipset into the industry, into money laundering, into underground deals no one dared mention publicly. But the most devastating blow came from Jim himself. On Instagram, for the first time, he broke his silence. A black screen with white letters, "Love don't live here no more. Harlem forever." The post had over 1 million likes in an hour. Fans interpreted it as a breakup announcement, the final nail in the coffin of Jim and Chrissy's relationship. Comment sections exploded. Finally, he woke up. Chrissy cooked her own empire. Dipset will never be the same. And just when people thought the day couldn't get darker, Cam posted a cryptic message on his Instagram stories. A photo of a folder labeled "Next Witness," with the caption, "You thought I was done." The cliffhanger was brutal. Fans screamed in panic. Who was the next witness? What more could Cam possibly reveal? And most importantly, how would Jim survive when the person he trusted most had allegedly betrayed him in front of the entire world? The trial wasn't just about Jim Jones anymore. It was about Chrissy Lampkin, her secrets, and the empire collapsing in real time. And the world could only wait to see which bombshell would land next. The courtroom was packed tighter than ever. News outlets from around the globe jammed into every available space. Live streamers camped outside for hours, and fans lined the sidewalks with signs screaming "Free Jim." And Chrissy lied. The buzz was deafening. Everyone knew today was the day the mystery witness would be revealed. It's the day that could either save Jim Jones or destroy him forever. When the bailiff announced the witness, the room went silent. And then gasps echoed as Kimbella Vanderhei walked in, her heels clicking like gunshots against the floor. Jim's head shot up. Chrissy froze. And the internet, watching on live streams, exploded into disbelief. Kimbella, long tangled in Dipset drama, former friend, longtime rival to Chrissy, was about to put the final nail in the coffin. Kimbella swore in, sat down, and wasted no time. She told the court she had first-hand knowledge of Chrissy's meetings with rival figures. She claimed Chrissy confided in her during late-night calls, allegedly bragging about keeping Jim in check while handling business on the side. Kimbella said Chrissy described Jim as too loyal, too blind, and admitted to funneling money through fake accounts in exchange for protection. The courtroom gasped. Chrissy shook her head furiously, mouthing, "She's lying." Jim sat stone-faced, jaw clenched so tight it looked like it might shatter. But Kimbella wasn't done. She dropped her biggest bombshell yet. She had recordings from her purse. Prosecutors presented a phone drive allegedly containing voice notes Chrissy sent late at night. The audio played, Chrissy's voice unmistakable. "He thinks I'm with him, but I'm building my own. When it all comes down, I'll still be standing." The words echoed like a funeral bell. Fans watching online went feral. Twitter turned into a war zone. Hashtag Chrissy down bad shot to #1 within minutes. Down bad shot to #1 within minutes. Chrissy leaped up, sobbing, screaming at the judge, "This is fake. She's making this up. You all want to see me fall." The bailiff restrained her as she thrashed, the courtroom devolving into chaos. It was the meltdown of the year, the image that would play on loops across every gossip, blog, and news broadcast for weeks. But while Chrissy unraveled, Camron smirked from the gallery. And just when it seemed like Cumbella had delivered the killing blow, Cam pulled out his final card. During cross-examination, Cam hinted he had even more recordings, not just of Chrissy, but of conversations implicating people higher up, people the industry never expected to see dragged into this mess. He muttered into the mic, "Chrissy wasn't moving alone. This rabbit hole goes deeper than Harlem." The insinuation sent shockwaves online. Speculation exploded. Was he talking about label executives? Politicians? Other rappers? Blogs churned out theories by the second. Outside the courthouse, protesters clashed. Some held signs reading "Justice for Jim," while others defended Chrissy, calling Cam a snake for exposing private matters just to settle old scores. Twitter Spaces ran 24/7, tens of thousands of fans debating who the real villain was. Then came the twist nobody saw. An anonymous hacker group released a drop of new emails allegedly linking Chrissy to none other than Jim's own financial advisor. The emails showed Chrissy and the advisor exchanging details about redirecting funds, covering tracks, and discussing keeping Jim quiet. The betrayal was staggering. Not only was Chrissy implicated, but someone inside Jim's inner circle had allegedly been feeding her information. The internet imploded. Memes poured in labeling Jim the last to know, photoshopping him into clown suits, while others defended him as the ultimate victim of layered betrayal. The fallout spread like wildfire. BET canceled reruns of Jim and Chrissy's old reality show, citing ethical concerns. Brands rushed to scrub collaborations, and insiders whispered that VH1 producers were already planning an emergency reunion, special to capitalize on the mess. But the darkest moment came when Jim himself finally took the stand, looking exhausted, eyes bloodshot. He spoke directly to the court and the world. "I gave everything to this, to her, to Dipset, to my people, and all I got was betrayal. If this is how my story ends, let it be known. I stood loyal even when nobody stood loyal to me." His voice cracked. Fans watching online burst into tears. Even some in the courtroom wiped their eyes. But Chrissy, she shook her head, still sobbing, whispering, "That's not true. That's not true." The judge announced the trial would continue with more evidence, but by then, the damage was done. The court of public opinion had already decided. Chrissy Lampkin's reputation lay in ashes. Her relationship with Jim fractured beyond repair. Camron had not just exposed her secret, it dismantled the love story that defined a generation of reality TV. Outside, chaos reigned. Paparazzi swarmed. Fans screamed. Protesters argued. A fight broke out on the courthouse steps between Dipset loyalists and Chrissy defenders. Caught on live streams and replayed endlessly. By nightfall, Instagram was flooded with cryptic posts. Jim's said simply, "Harlem forever." Chrissy's account went dark, her last post riddled with hundreds of thousands of angry comments. And Cam. He posted a photo of himself in a pink fur coat captioned, "Told y'all, truth hurts." The cliffhanger came hours later when the hacker group teased one final drop, a video allegedly showing Chrissy in a private meeting with a figure whose identity they blurred. The caption read, "The real puppet master is next." The internet froze. Was there someone even bigger behind all this? Was Chrissy just a pawn in a larger game? The world demanded answers. But for now, all that remained was devastation. Jim betrayed, Chrissy exposed, Cam vindicated, and Dipset's legacy forever scarred. And as the trial dragged into another day, one thing was clear: the story wasn't over. Not by a long shot. And there it is, the trial that was supposed to decide Jim Jones. Future has now exposed secrets darker than anyone imagined. Chrissy Lampkin, once seen as the definition of loyalty, left the world speechless after Camron dropped bombshell after bombshell in court. Wire transfers, audio recordings, insider testimony, it all points to betrayal so deep. It could tear down not just a relationship, but an entire empire. Jim's emotional testimony shook fans to their core. Chrissy's public breakdown became the image of downfall. And the hacker group's final tease about a puppet master left us on the edge of the cliff with no ground beneath us. But here's the truth. This story isn't over. Not even close. There are still receipts we haven't seen. Still voices we haven't heard. And if today's chaos proved anything, it's that tomorrow's revelations will be even more devastating, which means you cannot afford to look away now. So here's what you need to do right now. Smash that like button if you're still reeling from Camron's courtroom confession. Drop your theories in the comments. Is Chrissy really the villain, or is she just a pawn in something far bigger? And most importantly, hit subscribe and turn on notifications immediately, because the next leak could drop at any second. If you blink, you'll miss the receipts that could end careers and rewrite hip-hop history. This isn't just gossip. This is the collapse of an empire, and you need to be here when the next bombshell hits.